Hey everyone, welcome back. You know I love these deep dives, and you guys have sent in something really interesting this time.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to be diving into in the spiritual dimension, time does not exist, and everything happens in a single instant.
Mm.
It's an article from the Spiritual Seek website, and the idea is that everything past, present, future is actually happening all at once.
Wow.
I'm already intrigued.
It's definitely a concept that has been pondered by philosophers and physicists for centuries,
Right, right.
What if our perception of time, is more of a human thing than an absolute truth?
Yeah, okay, so let's unpack that a little bit.
Sure.
The article, it uses this image of the brain as like a sophisticated hologram reader.
Oh, interesting.
And I just thought that was so interesting. Like, what if our brains are creating this experience of time instead of just observing it?
That's where neuroscience comes in.
Okay.
Our brains, they process information kind of bit by bit, one thought after the next.
Yeah.
And that creates the feeling of linear time, that flow from past to future. But, you think about it, we really only ever exist in this present moment.
Right, yeah.
So how do you think this hologram reader idea fits into, like, the bigger picture?
Well, I mean, the article uses that to talk about the holographic universe theory, right?
Exactly.
You ever heard of that? I mean, I've heard the name, but I don't really know the details.
Definitely a mind bender. Like, imagine a huge library.
Yeah.
And every single book represents a moment in time.
Yep.
All those books, all those moments are existing at the same time. But our brains, they're like a reader in this library, right? They can only focus on one book at a time.
Okay.
And that's what gives us this illusion of like a story unfolding, in a line.
Wow, that's a great analogy. I like that. So it's like we're experiencing the story of our lives, one chapter at a time, but all the chapters are already there.
Yeah, exactly. But then the article takes it a step further and brings in quantum physics, which has a whole other, like, whoa to this whole time thing.
Oh yeah, quantum physics, always going to throw a wrench in things.
Right. The article specifically mentions wave function collapse.
Okay.
And that's essentially the idea that reality might exist in all these different potential states until an observation is made.
Okay.
And that observation, it kind of like locks it into one specific outcome.
Wait, so you're saying before we observe something, it exists in every possible state at once?
Yeah, that's the mind-blowing implication, right?
Yeah.
It's like a spinning coin.
Okay.
Before it lands, it's both heads and tails at the same time, but then your act of looking at it, observing it, it makes him choose a side.
Ah, okay, that helps. So then applying that to our lives, to our choices, that's huge, right? Like, are there multiple versions of us out there experiencing all the different paths we could have taken?
That's where things get really interesting, and where this idea of a timeless reality really challenges our understanding of who we are and what's possible.
So if everything is existing at once in this quantum realm, what does that mean for our past lives, our present experiences, even our future possibilities? This article suggests that all our incarnations, all those different lifetimes might be happening at the same time.
Imagine it like this. What if our souls aren't actually bound by linear time at all? Then maybe every choice, every experience is just, a different facet of us, of our being, and it's all unfolding in this huge, timeless dimension.
That's a lot to process. I'm starting to see why the article calls it a spiritual dimension. Like, if we can step outside of the way we normally think about time, it does kind of open up a whole world of possibilities, doesn't it?
Exactly, and the article really emphasizes that the key to connecting with this timeless reality is awareness. Yeah, awareness is key, like tuning into those moments when you sense something bigger than yourself, something beyond the everyday flow of time.
Yeah, I've definitely had those moments, where time seems to slow down or just like stop completely.
Right.
Like when you're totally absorbed in something, or maybe during like a deep meditation.
Exactly. Those are glimpses into a different way of experiencing reality. And the article even suggests that through practices like meditation, we can like cultivate that awareness and tap into this timeless dimension, more fully.
So it's not just like an intellectual understanding, it's about actually like experiencing it.
Yeah, that's the heart of it, It's one thing to grasp this idea of time as an illusion, but it's a whole other thing to like feel it, to live it.
Right.
And the article suggests that those who can actually do that, experience a really profound shift in how they see reality.
Okay, so I have to ask about karma. The article mentions that too, and I've always found that concept kind of tricky.
It is a complex idea, for sure, but the article presents, really interesting perspective on karma,
Okay.
suggesting that it's not about, like, some cosmic scorecard, tallying up your good deeds and bad deeds.
Right,
Right.
right.
It's more about recognizing how interconnected everything is.
So less about punishment or reward and more about just like cause and effect.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about understanding that our actions, our thoughts, even our intentions, they create these ripples that extend way beyond the present moment.
Okay.
And those ripples then shape the reality that we experience.
That's a powerful thought. It really makes you realize that we're not just these isolated individuals. Like our choices are always impacting, the web of existence, even beyond time.
But if we can really grasp that,
Yeah.
it changes everything. It invites us to live more consciously, more compassionately, because we understand our actions have consequences that go way beyond ourselves.
This whole conversation is making me wonder, if we could truly grasp this idea of timeless existence, would we approach life differently?
I think it's kind of inevitable. Imagine living with the awareness that all your past lives, present experiences, and future possibilities are all happening at the same time. How would that change how you view death or fear, or the choices you make each day?
Yeah. It's almost like realizing you're not just a single character in this linear story. You're like the author of infinite stories, all happening at once.
Right.
And every choice creates a new chapter, a new possibility.
And in that sense, even the concept of death might not seem like a ending, but more like a transition
Right.
to a different chapter, a different expression of your being.
Yeah.
It's not the end of the story. It's just turning the page.
That's pretty amazing. It's mind-blowing, but it's also incredibly liberating,
Yeah.
It makes you realize that we have so much more potential than we realize, even within our human perception of time.
Exactly. It challenges us to step outside of our limited thinking, embrace the unknown, and recognize all those infinite possibilities that exist in every single moment.
So if we're all connected in this timeless web and our choices are always shaping the reality we experience, where does that leave us? What does it all mean for us, here and now?
Yeah, it's like we've been given these new lenses to see the world through. If we're not bound by linear time in the way we usually think, what does that mean for how we actually live our lives?
I think that's the beautiful thing about this idea. It's not just about understanding time differently. It's about understanding ourselves differently.
Right.
If every choice we make creates these ripples that go through this timeless web, then maybe, living with more awareness and intention becomes even more important.
Yeah, because we're not just impacting the present moment. We're impacting all those past and future selves, all those other possibilities.
Right.
Exactly. And what if those other versions of us are also influencing us in ways we don't even realize? It starts to feel less like we're on this solo journey and more like a big interconnected dance, where we're all influencing each other across time and dimensions.
Wow. That's kind of a lot to think about, but it's also pretty amazing.
It is.
It makes you realize that every moment has so much more depth, so much more potential than we usually give it credit for.
Yeah, it's like we're waking up to a much bigger reality, one that we've always been a part of but maybe haven't fully seen.
Yeah.
And this article's just a glimpse of what could be possible if we could just expand our awareness beyond how we usually see things.
So where do we go from here? What can we do with these ideas?
Well, I think the first step is to just, stay curious.
Okay.
Keep exploring these ideas, keep asking questions.
Yeah.
And keep challenging how you think about time and reality. Maybe even try out some of those practices the article mentioned, like meditation or mindfulness, and see if you can tap into that timeless dimension inside yourself.
It's like we're being invited to become explorers, not just of the outside world, but of our inner worlds too.
Exactly. And who knows what we might discover, what new ways of understanding ourselves, the universe, our place in it all. That's what's so cool about this whole journey. It's like a constant unfolding, a constant evolution.
Well, this deep dive has definitely given me a lot to think about. It's changed how I see time and maybe even life itself.
That's great.
I don't know if I'll ever fully grasp this whole everything happening at once thing, but even just trying to wrap my head around it has been amazing.
Yeah, and maybe that's the point. It's not about getting to some definitive answer. It's about being able to ask deeper questions, embrace the mystery, and just keep looking for a better understanding of ourselves and the universe.
Well, thank you so much for guiding us through this. It's been pretty mind-blowing.
My pleasure.
And for everyone listening, I hope this has sparked some new ideas for you, maybe even inspired you to explore your own relationship with time and, the spiritual side of things.
Yeah.
Keep diving deep, keep asking questions, and keep the conversation going. Who knows what incredible discoveries are out there?